saw his email and like, but we are doing these duets for sure. It's gonna be so much fun. And I told Alan I'd give him a little bit of money. You know, I mean, like it's a schlep for him and whatever. Like the rehearsal is like I'll pay, for dinner and dessert, whatever, and then the gig I'll give him money. No. Yes, please.
It'll give me something to look forward to after I come home.
Yeah. I don't want these to fall, so I'm going to put them in the pool. But I was like, I can't put it on. It's like fraudulent.
All right. You just put the cake over the top.
You're getting fired. Oh, Ari's here. That's nice. Good. Tell them the flag.
Nuh-uh.
Where's
You're
Heather?
hot, Mom. You are on
Tell
live.
Heather
Oh
to
my
flag
God.
down. Oh, this couple last week I said this couple coming in, this man right here. They're like, let's do color swap. What are the chances? Sure enough, when he was up at Calabasas, that's where he remember that's this wife that's here tonight. So he explained that was like freehand, so it was cool that they found their way here and that,
You start playing.
It's great. Thanks, Stuart. Nice, great.
Welcome back.
joy and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. כולנו ביחד. הנה מה טוב, כולנו ביחד.
כולנו ביחד, everyone together. It is an incredible thing to have my partner back, Rabbi Kavod, who's been away on sabbatical for the past 3 months. And we've missed you, and it is amazing to have our band of Milk and Honey back together again, and Carol, Roman on piano, and of course, for all of us to be here. An incredible blessing. Many of us have not seen one another in a very long time. So I'd like to just take a couple of minutes to stand up and go introduce yourself to someone you don't know, and let's bring in a little Shabbat light together.
Real quick, before you do, just a few just little logistical pieces, please. If you're new here, there's restrooms. You go out towards the top of the stairs and to the right. There's also water fountains there. You can go ahead and have that if you need that. Also, please keep yourselves masked while you're in the building. We up in the Bima here are keeping it off while we're here, but as soon as we come down, we're going to put them back on. That's just part of how we're going to keep each other safe. And also just we're responsible for each other's safety and security. So if you also see something that seems a little off as far as in the building or whatever, say something. Speak up and take that. So now you can go ahead and stand up, being respectful to people's space, and you can say Shabbat Shalom.
And maybe share a highlight from your week.
Someone was awesome. We're hungry to talk. And yes, I am actually hungry as well. You get your grandparents tonight for dinner, don't you?
They don't want to. Especially as people know.
For sure. be a learning experience for you, and hopefully it's not going to that kind of bitterness is going to carry on. It's going to make you want to make sure that you have experiences that are elsewhere.
Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malachei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malachei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hey, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malachei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeikem l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malachei Hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la la.
Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to be back. And this is really also a celebration of beginnings. Not just this is my first service back here in the sanctuary, and maybe it is for a lot of you, and it's really special to be together. I really felt that Hine Matov, how good it is to be here together in a whole different way. But it's also, we're heading into the new year. And tonight begins Rosh Chodesh Elul, the beginning of the month of Elul, the new moon, as it will start to get brighter and brighter and brighter throughout the month, and then get darker and darker and darker until we hit Rosh Hashanah. And this whole time, the theme for this whole season, as some of us know, is teshuvah. And teshuvah means to return, means returning. And in fact, even the root for teshuvah, to return, shuv, has the same letters, two of the same letters as Shabbat, right? And the rabbis connect that Shabbat is a time to return to who are we beneath all the roles, beneath all the busyness, beneath all the story and the narrative that drives our day-to-days in our lives. Who are we? How do we connect with that? And so our opportunity for our service tonight is to begin to move into that process, to begin to come home to ourselves in a certain kind of way. And in fact, we might experience that the closer we are to who we are, the more we notice the light that is everywhere, that is radiating everywhere. In all of us, in all of life. It's so alive. And so much of the time we're moving in our doings of our week, and we just touch the surface of things, just the surface. And everything is shining. So we're gonna take our time getting into Shabbat with Or Zarua, which is about light. Light is sown for the righteous. When we return, when we act in that tzedek, that tzaddik, that righteous way, we see light everywhere. So you'll find in your prayer book on page 12, I think it's the third line from the bottom, is the Hebrew part of this setting, and then there'll be an English part too. I think we're ready to light candles and welcome Shabbat now. It's my pleasure to invite up Gary and Laura Rothman to light candles in honor of their 35th anniversary. 35th anniversary.
We got married really young.
So, before you light, I want to. So we would say that this is your 36th year that you're coming on. This part needs to work into this, because as we know, 36 is double chai, but it's also, there's a tradition that there are 36 Lamed Vav, or Lamed Vav is 36, tzaddikim, hidden holy people in the world, that by their virtue of them existing, the whole world is sustained. Meaning, and these people we don't know. It could be a person asking for change. It could be, somebody in your family. And even the Lamed Vav tzaddikim don't know that they are them. But their light, their being a vessel for God's presence, helps sustain the world. And one of the things in the fairly short time that I've known you, got both in 10 years, that your partnership sustains the people around you. That your light and your love that comes from both of you in song, in hugs, in all that you give out, I have no doubt comes from what you share together. So I want to really bless that and encourage many, many more years of happiness and love together. Amen. As you bring in Shabbat for us. So I want to invite everybody to stand as we welcome in Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav etzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Look at the light that you guys bring. Thank you. You may be seated.
Beautiful.
So we want to keep you on your toes tonight. So we're going to be all over the prayer book, going back and forth. You can go back to page 11. So page 11, about 4 lines from the bottom. Ya'aloz Sadai, the fields will exalt, the trees singing with joy. Again, when we return to ourselves, we see how fully alive the world is, especially nature.
Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Shema Ya'aloz Sadai Ay 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 Ya'aloz Sadai V'chol Shema Ya'aloz Sadai Ay 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 Asiralenu Kol Hatzeya אשר בו יעלו שדי איי 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 יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו יעלו שדי איי איי איי
We'll continue to warm up with the Psalms of Shabbat. Skip ahead to page 20. And there we go. And you should just know, if you're new here tonight, that so much of the music from the Hine Ma Tov that we opened with this Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, comes from the soul and the heart of our cantor Natalie Young. A lot of her the music that we sing is all original compositions that people sing all over the country, and we get to have the heart and soul right here with all of our incredible music support. Page 20. All of us have masculine and feminine in us. Masculine and feminine is not about gender. It's about the principles or the energies in the universe and in all of us. Masculine being more of the active force in creation, the doing, the manifesting, the assertiveness, where the feminine is the receptive, the open, the receiving, the beholding. And both are part of all of us. We're both of those things. And our Torah, our Jewish tradition, elevates the feminine. The feminine as that place of receptivity, that place of openness. It's the acknowledgement that we can only act in a way that brings blessing when we first can receive and behold. And that's what Shabbat is. Shabbat is considered a feminine aspect of God, this sacred time that we're a part of. And the mystics even envisioned Shabbat as a bride, as a feminine presence. And so at the end of Lecha Dodi, what we're about to sing and pray right now, we have this custom of standing and facing the doorway, the entranceway. We haven't had a lot of us haven't had a chance to do that, being in our homes together facing the same entranceway, and now we get to do that. And what we're imagining is that we're greeting the Shabbat bride. We're greeting our own sense of feminine in us, our own receptivity, our own depth. And we say, Bo'i b'shalom, like we're speaking to that bride. Enter in wholeness, in peace. Enter into my awareness, my consciousness, this space of Shabbat. And let me be open and feel it in its fullness. So we're going to go back in our Siddur to page 18, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. שמוע וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמעון אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתיאר.
lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו במלאכה, כי בכל המלאכה דרוש מקדם בסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבת תקרא.
lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה.
Page 19 at the top.
התעוררי, התעוררי.
That means wake up.
כי בעורר קומי אורי, אורי, אורי שתדברי, כבוד אדוני לך נגלה.
lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi,
לקראת כלה,
לקראת כלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה.
Verse 9.
בואי ושלום עצרת בנה, גם בשמחה ובשורה. תוכן מוני עם סגולה.
Enter, O bride.
בואי כלה, בואי כלה.
lecha Dodi,
Lecha Dodi, Shabbat nekabelah Lechadodi Likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabelah Yai lai 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 Yai lai lai lai.
So before we transition into the evening service, the different part of the service, we acknowledge that some of us are coming to our community space with loss of a loved one, whether we're here for a yard site, a year anniversary of a loved one's death, or a shloshim, 30-day period, or the first year of our loved one's passing. And as I'm also here in the first year of my father's passing, I want to invite us all to feel the hamakom, the holy presence, the holy space that holds us in our loss, through each other as we hold each other. Hamakom yenachem etchem, may the Holy One comfort you. And we hold each other as we move into the main body of our service through Chatzi Kaddish on page 22.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah B'yamad yivrach yutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon Uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Uv'izman kariv ve'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach Le'olam u'lolam me'holmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach Ve'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei de'kudesha Richu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'yoma v'yimeru Amen. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
You may be seated. Page 26.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
haolam asher bidbaro ma'aviv arabim ve'or
Page 27.
אבות עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אתה. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח ברכתך, ונזמור לדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם בקין יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. תפילתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
It's not an accident that the Torah instructs us to experience the reality of God, the reality of Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, the oneness of all of creation that we are a part of, that our Torah instructs us to experience that oneness through listening, through Shema. When we look around at our world today, it's clear we need to listen to each other, to listen to what's going on deeper inside ourselves. The depth is found by listening. Take a moment just to close your eyes. Just do a few moments here. And allow your attention to open up to hear not only the guitar, the sounds in the room, your very own breath. And as you listen to it all at once, see if you can hear the aliveness in everything, including your own breath and your own body. That aliveness is the presence, the one that unites us and sustains us and brings us each moment to this place. You may stand or sit according to your custom for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Yasher Koach. Thank you, Maya.
Who is like
Page 37.
you? Who is like you? Who is like you?
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תהילו עושה מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, תורה תהילו עושה Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים, משה ומרים זה ליאנו אנו ויאמרו אדוני יברך לעולם ועד. Who is like you? Adonai. Who
Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Amen. Page 39. And you'll notice that the English that goes along with the Hebrew is different than what's on the page. So you can just listen and hear it and join along if you know it.
Hashkeveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamideinu shoreinu l'chaim.
Spread the shelter.
Spread the shelter of your peace over
Guide us
us.
in wisdom.
Guide us in wisdom,
compassion and trust.
compassion and trust. Hashkeveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamideinu shoreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkeveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamideinu shoreinu l'chaim. L'chaim. One more time, l'chaim. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai, haborei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. The Shamru is on page 41. You can stand if you'd like for this one.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. Come on. את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. Come on. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת.
You can remain standing. We're going to move into our silent Amidah prayer. And the traditional Amidah is found in the Siddur. It goes between page 43 and 59. We'd like to invite you tonight, and you're welcome to engage the prayer book, but we'd like to invite you to just meditate quietly on one question. In this moment, in this time in your life, what does God want of you? This is a question for this month of Elul. It's a question for our entire life. What does God want for you here and now? And just let your awareness circle around that question and feel into it and listen.
Adonai Svatai Tifta. Adonai Svatai Tifta. Ufi Yagid Tehiratecha. Ufi Yagid Tehiratecha. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto you, O God. You led us on in region libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'go'ali.
for the season. A king had a son that he loved very much. And like all families do, we get frustrated with each other. And the king one day said to the son, "Just get out of here. I don't want to see you again." And of course, he didn't mean it, but he was upset. And it was an intense moment. And the son said, "Okay." And he left. And he walked through the kingdom, trying to make his way. And everywhere he went, people recognized the king's son, and they took him in, and they gave him food, and took care of him. And he would journey on his way, meeting a lot of people in the kingdom. And as he started to get to the edges of the kingdom, people didn't recognize him anymore. They had never been to the palace. They had never met the king or his son. And he would, knock on the door, and people, "We don't want any." Go to another house, and he had to sleep outside on his own. He had to feel hunger for the first time. And one day he came to the house of a tailor, and he knocked on the door and he said, "Please, I'm hungry. I've had to sleep outside. Can you take me in?" And the tailor said, "Of course, please come in." And he fed him, gave him a place to stay. And he said, I need some help in the shop of, making clothes. I could teach you if you wanted. And the king's son said, "Sure, that would be great." He said, "You could live here and feed." And so he became his apprentice. And it went on for weeks and months and, even almost a year, more than a year. And he became part of the family, and he learned the trade. And, he lived a different kind of life. And the king, of course, was heartbroken at his son, and every day felt so much remorse and regret that in a moment of anger, he said something that he didn't mean, and he missed his son. He lost his son. And it was customary that once a year, the king would go with his entourage around, and his coach master would see, what do people in the kingdom want? What are they needing? What don't they have? And they would go around and they could make requests of the king. The king didn't go on these trips, but went over and they'd write down, and the king would try to fulfill their wishes. And one day the coach came around to the tailor. The tailor was almost in another kingdom, so he missed them the first couple of years. But he came and he knocked on the door, and then all of a sudden the king's son saw that wow, he could ask for anything, and he thought, I've really been wanting some new tools. I could make these great pieces of clothes if I had these new tools. And so he asked for the new tools. And the person took his request, the coachmaster, and took it back to the king. And the king is going through all the requests, saying, yes, we can do this, no, we can't do this. And suddenly he sees handwriting that's so familiar. And he recognizes it's his son's handwriting. And his son, who could have anything, who could have the entire kingdom, is asking for some tools to make clothes. And the king is just heartbroken. My son has forgotten who he is. And he immediately says, hire my coach. And he gets in the coach and heads out, says, take me to where they are. And he comes, and suddenly the son is working in his shop, and suddenly the king's coach comes outside the shop, and the son gets up, and wow, maybe my new tools are here. And all of a sudden the coach opens up, and the son suddenly sees the face of his beloved father, who he hadn't seen for years and years. He had forgotten. And all that familiarity, all that closeness, all that love came flooding back to him And his father, who was just had tears down his face, just came towards him and they embraced. And he said, "You're my son. You're my son." And took him back to the palace where he lived, who he truly was. Now, this story during this month of Elul is a story to tell about how we forget who we are, how we go about in our lives and our traumas and our doing the best that we can, trying to shed some light, some love, and yet on a fundamental level, we have forgotten that we are the king's children, the queen's children. We are children of God. And that the whole kingdom is open to us, is alive to us. This whole life that we're a part of. It's like the busyness of life. We get lost. And in our tradition, once a year, we want to come back. We want to do teshuvah. We want to return. We want to do that all the time. We want to do that every week, every Shabbat. But especially here as a community, we come together. I am so grateful to our synagogue leadership for allowing me to have a 3-month sabbatical this last few months. To have the space for me to return. That's what it was. It was a space to feel in a different kind of way, not just intellectually, but in my very soul, what is so important to me. You know, being able to have moments of not having to respond so much to so much stimulus around, and actually have time with my own thoughts, and be able to watch and learn about my own self and mind, and what's important to me, and how I operate in my family, and how I operate with myself. That kind of deep listening was able to happen these last few months. My relationships, of course, we always know that our family and our friends, our deep friendships, are so important to us. But this was a reawakening of that, of feeling that the people who I'm connected to, near and far, I can't survive without these connections. My soul can't survive without these connections. And these friendships, and my family relationships, I can't afford to be too busy to be able to honor those connections. And then I also really felt the power and the blessing of this community. Many of you know that my father passed this a little over a month ago. And, I've been, been witness to so much loss in people's lives in this congregation, and been able to be a witness to that, and to be able to be hopefully a helpful presence in that process. But never before had I experienced what that blessing is myself. You brought food every day. It brought food, Grubhub cards, meals, showed up for Shiva minions for times, sent cards. Every single card was just a blessing about being thought of. And even, without that, there might be an email or something that I just feeling thought about was incredible, to feel held up and supported. And so there was that was a big part of what my sabbatical was feeling what it is like to be held by a community, and knowing the blessing of this, not just intellectually, but in my heart of hearts. In our weekly Torah portion, we really have a formula that sets us on the right path to return. Even though all of us don't have the luxury to have a sabbatical, there are things that we can do this month to begin to return. There's an image in this week's portion, Parshat Ra'eh, where half of the people of Israel are on the top of Mount Gerizim. and half of them are on the top of Mount Eval. And in the valley below are the Levites. And the Levites are shouting out all of God's blessings. Shout out all God's blessings. And the people on Mount Gerizim that have the name of the holy name next to there say Amen. And then the people of the Israelites on Mount Eval, they shout out all the curses, all the things that happen to us when we don't follow what's real and true for us. And the Levites say Amen to that as well. And this picture, this image of both the blessings and the curses are present with us all the time. And the question is which mountain do we shift towards? Which one do we choose in any moment in our lives? What are the things that bring us closer to connection? What are the things that put more distance? So that place of choice becomes what we want to clarify this month, so that when Rosh Hashanah comes in 1 month, we're not just suddenly coming to services kind of blinded by, okay, here's the day, and we're supposed to feel something, and we're supposed to be, but we've been spending this time reflecting. So ways that we can do this reflecting, that we can feel what those blessings and curses are, is prayer and meditation. Being able to take time out to reflect, to think about our lives. Some of us like to journal, to write about what are the things that bring me closer connection? How can I do more of that? What are the things that get in my way? How can I do less of that? And then here's a tip. Just focus on one thing this month that you want to focus on. Maybe it is, some of the common ones are money, sex, or organizing, or relationships. How am I in relationships? Do I yell too much? Do I not listen well enough? Whatever it is, pick one thing and say, this is my focus. I'm going to watch how this shows up in my life. Maybe even before I go to bed each night, I'm going to think, how did I do in that area right now? How can I do better tomorrow? One thing. And we'll see the kinds of results that we want to see. And lastly, it's worth mentioning that, as my dear friend Chaim, who's here from Portland, and Ruben, his son, reminded me as we were talking about this week's Parsha and this month, that Elul, the name for this coming month, is an acronym for Ani Lidodi Vidodi Li. That's what the letters of Elul can spell out. I am for my beloved, and my beloved is for me. I hold that image of the king or the queen embracing his son, and that coming home to each other. What does it mean to really embrace love in our lives? What does it mean to make choices that increase that love? That's what this month of Elul is about. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to invite people to say names to bring into our healing circle here. We're going to sing a Mesha Berach prayer for healing. So if you have names of loved ones that you'd like to include, you can just say them out loud. Right now there's a lot of us. Just go ahead as kind of move across. Rivka, Bat Michael, Chaya Binyamina, Bat Yaakov.
Dear God of our ancestors, help renew our faith. Help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days of Narifana, Rifana, El Narifana, Rifana,
Elna.
El Narifana, Rifana, El
So, our new year is starting in our temple community. And we have a new Friday night service schedule based on the recommendations from our Reform Ritual Committee. Our new service schedule begins now, starting tonight. The first Friday of every month is at 6 p.m. It's called our Welcoming Shabbat service or Kabbalat Shabbat service with this kind of feel and music. All other Fridays are 7 p.m. And we'll have different kinds of services, our Soul Spark Shabbat, our traditional reform, prayer service, and our Bringing Shabbat Home. So next Friday, you can join us at 7 p.m., okay? And then tomorrow morning, for hopefully the last time, our Saturday morning conservative service will be online, 9:15 a.m., and you can go to find out the Zoom link on our temple website. And then beginning next week, August 14th, we will be in person in the Eisenberg Chapel on the ground floor. So look forward to joining us at 9:15 for that. Please, there's so many different ways for us to get involved this year. Check out the website, check out what's happening. The other thing I just want to mention for this month of Elul, if you're looking for a way to kind of be guided in more of this kind of inner reflection, go to jewishspirituality.org. The Institute for Jewish Spirituality, a national organization, has a free program called the Shofar Project. And you can sign up, and there are meditations, and there's some text study, but every week, every day, opportunities you get something in your email inbox to reflect upon. So check that out. All right, we will conclude our service with a mashup of Aleinu on page 64 and One Day by Matisyahu. Please stand.
One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Sometimes I lay under the moon. I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon. 'Cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. Because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There will be no wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. And
seated. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 73. And in our synagogue family, we recall loved ones who death has recently taken from us. In the Shloshim period, Bernice Berman, the mother of our member Judy Berman. And we're also commemorating the following yartzites: Stephanie Blasnick, Homer Chernin, Fanny Cherry, Louis Cherry, Joseph Cherry, David Desyannikov, Max Dolinsky, Christopher Edwards, Louis S. Sorkowski, Alvin Feinberg, Stephen Feldman, Irving William Fishman, Louise Foreman, Al Hartenstein, Vernice Holliday, Jenny Kaplan, Louis Karpf, Sophia Katz, Marcia Kmek, Bagi Yitzhak Kohanteb, Bernard Krigstein, Rabbi Harry Levenberg, Charles LeBuck, Jean Margulis, Irene Miller, Harold Motenko, Abraham Perlman, Werner Roman, Seidel Rosenberg, Jenny Rosenthal, Gertrude Schenkman, Ava Scherer, Marion Schlesinger, Roberta Siegel, Charlie Schaefer, Ann Thaw, Meyer Feinberg, Ann Vishnov, Robert Wall, Sadie Weinberg, and Pearl Weinstein. If I mentioned any of the names of your loved one, please stand. And for all of us, you may stand or sit according to your custom for Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 73. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma tivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing.
Hey ho, hey ho,
Hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, hey ho,
It's my pleasure to call up Mark Adler to lead us in Kiddush, the blessing over Shabbat on the wine. You may stand if you'd like to follow along. Let's see. Kiddush is on page. Almost there.
75.
There you go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahavad uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'harta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodecha v'ahavat uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. And as Mark drinks that sweet Manischewitz wine, just imagine it sliding down your throat. And you can lead us in Hamotzi too. Hamotzi as well, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Avi and Shifi, come on up and lead us in Hamotzi.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi
Lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, everybody, for a beautiful service. Thank you, Band of Milk and Honey. Woo!